In the Kramatorsk-Druzhkivka direction, the FPV operator of a Russian drone discovered a military unit hidden in arid terrain. UAV operators belonging to the 35th Army of the Vostok military group are destroying enemy positions near Gulyaipol. Despite the Ukrainian armed forces command pulling reserve units in this direction, they are unable to change the course of events.
Don't forget to leave your opinion about the video in the comments, subscribe, and like.
A cargo ship was destroyed in the port of Ilychivsk in the Odessa region as a result of an attack by a Russian Garan UAV.
Gidiyor bak, drone'a bak, patlayacak bak. Patlayacak bak. Nereye gitti? O tarafa git. Aha patladı. Gemiyi patlat. Gemini vurdu, gemini. Ha. Ula. Yobbanı Murat. ضرب الجميع ضرب الجميع الماكينات علقة الماكينات راحت.
Russian assault units captured a Ukrainian fort in the private sector east of Gulyaipol. The Russian forces' operation was coordinated by drone operators. The forts were captured step by step. The buildings where Ukrainian forces were hiding and using as temporary staging positions were destroyed one by one. Russian fiber-optic next-generation drones knocked on the door, but no one opened it. The drone entered, and things happened. In another direction, an FPV drone chose to enter through the window. A Ukrainian soldier in the basement fired at the incoming Russian drone from inside, but failed to shoot it down. Fiber optic operators seized and destroyed a 122mm 2S1 Gvozdika self-propelled gun belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces in the remote forests of Sumy Oblast. The No. 3 FPV operator of the southern military region's combined armed forces destroyed an enemy drone lying in wait. Destruction of a camouflaged 2S1 self-propelled gun in Ukraine's Kharkiv region by an FPV drone. The operator had one shell and used it wisely. UAV operators attached to the 57th Brigade are destroying Ukrainian forces' positions located in buildings in Gulyaipol. Footage of the attack has been objectively verified. Images of the city of Krasnoarmeysk captured by the Russians. While flying over the streets of a settlement in the Kharkiv region, the operator of an FPV drone spotted equipment belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces. The drone operator entered through a very small hole. I was surprised. Roy Svarog unit fighters continue to surprise us with footage of enemy armored vehicles being destroyed using fiber optic FPV drones. The fighters discovered a Leopard 1A5 tank belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces hiding in a shelter and sent several FPV drones to attack it. Although the tank resisted for a long time, the Ukrainians eventually gave up trying to save it after several hits and allowed the vehicle to burn. Russian drone operators struck a Ukrainian UAV control center and 2 enemy sabotage and reconnaissance groups in the Konstantinovka district of Donetsk. All strikes were objectively verified. In a series of attacks carried out by KVN fiber optic FPV drone operators in the forested area of the Sumy region, a 155mm 2S22 Bodana motorized gun mounted on an 888 Tatra T158 chassis was destroyed. Army UAV operators are systematically working to destroy enemy equipment in the direction of Polotsk. First, the position of Ukrainian forces was destroyed. Then, the vehicle they were using was destroyed. 4 Ukrainian infantrymen were spotted by a Russian FPV drone while on the move. While searching for a place to hide, they came upon a cemetery. They then took cover inside a small building near the cemetery. However, their location had already been compromised. After several strikes, the building was destroyed. A Ukrainian ground robotic platform carrying supplies was destroyed by a Russian FPV drone in the Kupiansk direction. Liptsy direction. As a result of a well-organized ambush, a pickup truck belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces was destroyed. One of the soldiers was found lost in the forest after losing his pickup truck. The robot war continues in Donbass. Drone operators from the South Group are destroying the Ukrainian forces' ground robotic platforms one by one on this side of the front line. In the direction of Konstantinovka, soldiers from the South Group destroyed an American M113 armored personnel carrier in several attacks carried out with FPV drones. Russian UAV operators tracked a reconnaissance UAV belonging to the Ukrainian armed forces and located the UAV control center. Several KVN fiber optic drones then launched an attack and destroyed the building. Sumy direction. FPV UAVs belonging to KVN, part of Rubicon, detected 2 Ukrainian armed forces vehicles in a forest near the village of Ivoljanska. One of them was a US-made HMM-WV. Attacks were carried out against enemy personnel and equipment. The 1st Tank Army disrupted yet another engineering operation by the Ukrainian armed forces. The Lancet UAV destroyed a front loader located in the Spodobivka area on the right bank of the Oskol River, north of Bugayevka, with a precise strike. The Russian aerospace forces struck the temporary staging area of the Ukrainian Armed Forces 63rd Brigade with a FAB-500 guided aerial bomb. The accuracy of the guided aerial bombs hitting the location where soldiers had gathered to regroup and establish a fortified defense line in Krasny Lyman is impressive. Zaporizhzhia direction. An FPV UAV operator lay in wait and destroyed a Ukrainian armored vehicle. The vehicle was traveling very fast, and instead of trying to chase it, the drone operator made a smart move and cut in front of the vehicle from the other side of the road. Three Ukrainian soldiers were walking towards the UAV control center. They were unaware of the Russian drone waiting in ambush on the roof of the building. Then it happened. Russian UAV operators struck locations where Ukrainian forces controlled UAVs in Dzerzhinsk and Gorlovka. It is clear that numerous positions were destroyed during the attacks. In addition, shelters were hit. During aerial reconnaissance, Russian forces identified enemy positions. Precise fire was then directed at these locations, successfully destroying enemy units. Russian drone operators destroyed numerous Ukrainian military depots and temporary staging areas within the same operation. The attacks were objectively verified. Russian forces are doing a good job using high-resolution drones to film the attacks. I can say they are doing a very good job in this regard. Write your thoughts about these attacks in the comments. Do you think drones are really the best weapon in war? What other methods could be used to stop drones? The Russian armed forces destroyed a Ukrainian armed forces drone in the rear area of the Kherson Oblast using electronic warfare methods. The Russian armed forces used Goran UAVs to strike a stronghold of Ukrainian armed forces UAV operators in the Doljik area of the Kharkiv region. Kharkiv direction. Russian VT-40 drone operators hit a pickup truck carrying personnel of the Ukrainian armed forces hard. The van lost its movement. Pickup trucks and vehicles were sent to evacuate the attacked Ukrainian personnel. But they were all hit by Russian drone attacks on the way. An armored vehicle arrived to evacuate all Ukrainian personnel, but the Russians followed the whole thing. As the soldiers were about to board the armored vehicle, another attack drone with heavy ammunition arrived and hit the armored vehicle. There were 15 Ukrainian soldiers on the scene. After the attack, the soldiers scattered in the forested areas, and this time Russian artillery opened fire. The Russian fighter threw a backpack full of anti-tank mines into the building where the Ukrainian armed forces personnel were located. The building collapsed with a powerful explosion. The trench of the soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine, located in the Popovka direction of the Belgorod region, was detected. The fiber-optic drone Prince Vandal of Novgorod was activated and flew directly to the trench. As soon as the attack began, the soldiers began to flee to shelters. But the Russian fiber optic did not stop. It continued to attack both the trench and the bunker in succession.
Don't forget to leave your opinion about the video in the comments, subscribe, and like.
Pokrovsk direction. Russian fiber-optic drone, Prince Vandal of Novgorod, destroyed a tank. M109 Paladin self-propelled howitzer, Humvee, PBV-302, of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. These expensive pieces of equipment, parked and camouflaged, were issued traffic tickets. Each of them is now a pile of scrap,